can't hide myself. I don't expect you to understand. I just hope I can explain what it's like to be a man. It's a lonely road, and they don't care about what you know. It's not about how you feel, but what you provide inside that home.
Again, you mentioned, you're dealing with depression. Was it because you wanted to be with your mom?
Um, I would say a little bit of that, but it was just that, when a child goes through, this is me talking now, being the age that I am,
Yes.
that I really feel like that it was just confusing. I didn't know why my parents were no longer together. And mind you, this
Okay.
happened when I was about 5. So I
Okay.
didn't know what was going on. Like, why did, mom and dad separate? Something did happen. And then it was revealed to me. I think I was like, probably like 15 or 16.
Right.
And like, this actually happened with my mom. I don't know if I had told you that she did pass away a
No,
couple years ago.
I did not know
Yeah.
this. I did
We
not know
can
that.
we can get into that too about what happened.
Okay, we will. We
Um
will. When it
but
gets there. I honestly
yeah.
did not know that. No.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she passed away 2 years ago.
I am so sorry to hear
Um
that.
yeah, that we can
If I
definitely
was
get into that.
told it wasn't by you, and maybe that's
Mhm.
why I never talked to you about it. I know we went on another little tangent there, but you mentioned
Yeah.
that you lost your mom a couple years
Yes.
ago. What
Yes.
exactly happened?
So, my mom smoked for many years, so of course, that can lead to a lot of different issues, COPD and
Right.
lung cancer. So, what happened with that? Um, so I started seeing symptoms. The one thing that kind of scared me was the constant coughing that comes with, smoking.
Right. I want
She's
to
good.
Yes, I want to get to the end of the podcast because we kind of went over the time I told you, and that's
Oops.
kind of my fault.
That's
Um,
okay.
at the end of the podcast, I asked two questions. So I'm gonna ask the first question, and it started off with King Uno. He would actually usually ask this question when we did the podcast. He would always ask, "What is King Uno and what is Star King?" Well, obviously King Uno is not here. It's just me. I'm solo here, so I'm gonna ask the question: What is Star King Gaming to you? Like, what does he mean to you? In other words. So now the last question. I took something from a fellow podcaster. His name is Chris Van Fleet, and he talks about gratitude being a big part of his life. Every morning and every night when he goes to bed, and when he wakes up and goes to bed, he says out loud three things he's grateful for. I started doing this exercise about 6 months ago, and I tell you, I wake up every day in a better mood. I go to bed in a better mood. Now, granted,
Hmm.
the three things they could always be different. They could always be the same. But as we're here right now, what are three things that you are grateful for?
And what is going on? We are back with another episode of Starking Gamer Presents Storytime. And on this week's story, we have Miss Shadow Lady Gaming. Okay, not anymore. She is known as Brown Sugar Foodie, formerly known as Miss Shadow Lady Gaming. For those who don't know, she is married to Mr. Black Ice X Entertainment. That is how I met her. It's through that. She's a wonderful human being, very loyal, and very, very good with her community. So make sure you give her a follow on TikTok and Twitch. She will be on one of those platforms. I'm not sure exactly what she's planning on doing as far as the podcast, or not podcast, excuse me, as her streams go. She might be doing just cooking videos or how to cook certain things videos type deals. Um, but she is an excellent cook from what I've gathered. So make sure you give her a look. Now, to better tell the stories of the podcast, I've been asked a few times, and I'm going to probably say this in every single podcast. The reason why we made the change was because, actually, why don't I just tell the whole story from the beginning? So, about 5 years ago, we started this journey back in 2020. Me, King Uno, were talking one day, and we were talking with a few people, and we decided to create a podcast. What we wanted to do was cover content creators, the behind the scenes of the content creator. What makes them want to stream? What gives them that courage to hit the go live? And a lot of different things. And we were talking, and then we were talking about like, well, we could also make it a sports podcast as well. So we talked about Madden, football. Brady was the guy that we thought of right away because he's an amazing content creator. At the time, he was streaming under the name Running Up the SCO. Now he no longer streams. But Brady was an amazing content creator at that time, and we decided, why don't we have him on the podcast? And then we were talking, me and King Uno, and King Uno said, for baseball, why don't we use KMF? At the time, one of my friends, his name's Kevin, was streaming under the name KMF Gaming. Now he streams under Private Pork Chop when he does stream. He hasn't streamed in a while. But Kevin was like the perfect fit. I said, yeah, great. He knows baseball. He watches baseball religiously. So it made sense. And we started a podcast and we were enjoying it. We were doing good. And we started to kind of cut ties with the other people and just mainly focus with just me and King Uno. And then all of a sudden, King Uno and I, we were talking and we were like, man, this podcast is going good, but we need something to make it great. And we started talking with this guy named Nambo, and Nambo said, what you guys should do is cover like the Attitude Era of wrestling. You guys, you guys love wrestling. You guys talk about wrestling all the time. Why don't you cover the Attitude Era? And so then we asked Nambo to join us. Nambo did a few podcasts with us, and it was great. But then Nambo has started having issues with the kids. Not a bad way. He was taking care of his kids like a father should. And he felt like he would be more of a distraction than a help to the stream, if that makes sense, or the podcast. Back then, we were streaming, for the record, and he said he just felt like he was distracting. And so he decided to basically back out of the podcast. So it was me and King Uno for a while. And then it started getting too hard for a while because me and King Uno both were working full time. We were both had a lot going on. Maddie had just been born not too long after, and there was a lot of issues we were having. And then King Uno and I kind of stopped doing the podcast, and then I went kind of solo. And then that's where the Starking Gaming Presents podcast came about. I did about 3 or 4 of those, and they came out amazing. And then I started kind of like having issues of being able to do the podcast just because of time. I didn't have a lot of time, working a lot, and just there was so much going on. And then King Uno and I had a talk, and I said, well, why don't we do a podcast, just me and you, covering his transformation from Twitch to our Facebook Twitch to TikTok. Because he started on Facebook, then he went to Twitch, and then he was on TikTok, and he still is on TikTok, for the record. He is still streaming quite often. In fact, he was just live about an hour before I started doing this. But anyway, that's neither here or there. But King Uno and I did a podcast together, and it was great. And we were talking about possibly redoing the podcast, and then everything kind of went to a standstill when I lost my job at a company I was working at. I ended up quitting a company that I was working for. And mentally, it just got too much for me. I could not do the podcast. I didn't even stream much. I ended up taking a new job at CBS, which I love that job. I actually had the most amazing coworkers, and I missed that job. But they weren't giving me hours, so I ended up having to quit. And now I'm at a new job where it actually pays me very well. I do really well there financially. And to better get to the podcast part, before I started even working for the company I'm at, I had this itch to kind of do the podcast. So I started listening to the podcast, and I was like, wow, it was good. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't bad. By no means was it bad, but boy, was it not relatable. There was no relevance whatsoever. And I said to myself, I was like, what am I missing? Like, what do I want? And around that time, I found this guy named Chris Van Fleet, and I started really getting into his podcast. I actually watch them all, and I was listening to him, and he made a comment about if you want to do a podcast and you want to be successful, you need to do something that you love first and foremost, or something that you're passionate about. He says if you're passionate about animals, then do a podcast about animals. Your favorite animals. Don't just do one because you like animals, but you're gonna do one with a spider, even though you're arachnophobic. Don't do that. Do one about the animals you love. Do something that you truly mean a lot about. Mental health. If you're passionate about that, then do that. And I started thinking about it, like, why not me? Like, why not do something like that? And I really got into it and started thinking to myself, like, I don't necessarily need a co host per se, but what if I got people on the podcast and they told their story? And maybe I could add a part of my life to their story. So I started thinking about it. I'm like, okay, why don't I do a podcast covering men's mental health? Originally, that was the plan. It really was. Men's mental health was the only thing I had planned on covering. And it all started way back in high school for me because one of my best friends, his name was James Piniak, he would end up killing himself. And that was the first time I had dealt with any type of depression in my life because he was truly one of my best friends. I didn't know nothing about being bullied and the after effects of it. I knew he was being bullied and we were going to help take care of it. I had been bullied myself, so I knew what it was like. And when he died, it was really hard on me. I lost my best friend that day, and to this day, I still am not over it. Now, let's get back to today's. I said to myself, like, how can I make a podcast relatable and relevant? Well, people tell their stories. For example, Ruben, who lost a son at 35 days. Maybe somebody's out there, maybe they lost their kid at like 2 or 3 months. They listen to the podcast and then they find out there's resources out there. There's people out there that can help. Let's say 10 years from now, they hear the podcast and they listen to it and they go, wow, this is my story. I'm living this. And they hear these stories and they think to themselves, wow, it's going to be okay. That's the plan. So therefore, it makes it both relatable because they relate to it and then relevant because this is 10 years from now. So I wrote up a list. The first person on the list, ironically, was Ruben. The second person on the list was a guy named Alex Miller, who we covered. Alex Miller was on that list for a different reason because of what he means to me. Ruben is one of my best friends, and I know Ruben can help people because of what he had been through. But Alex Miller means something different because Alex Miller is somebody who motivated me, somebody who pushes me, and somebody who wants to see me succeed. I love Alex. He's truly like a brother, and he always wants the best for me. Now, to get back to the podcasting and everything, and to today, more recently, actually, it was the Black Ice X Entertainment podcast that I did. I started listening to it, and I started thinking, and I said, what about if we got Shadow Lady in there? And then I said, I'm missing something. I should get some females up in here. Like they could tell stories. They could help other people. And Shadow Lady agreed to do it, and that's where we are today. And of course, I keep saying Shadow Lady is Brown Sugar Foodie. I know, but she in my heart forever will be Miss Shadow Lady Gaming. Okay. Anyway, Shadow Lady Gaming agreed to do the podcast, and that's where we're at now. So this episode is going to be a first for me because the only time we ever covered any female people, it was either Star Queen or Queen Uno at that time she was known as, which was King Uno's girl. When we were doing all this, of course, he's no longer with her. That's not for the podcast. I'm just throwing that out there. But to better tell the story, I figured I'd throw that in there. But we had never had any females. Now, Paige from Go for a Beer, she was in there a couple of times, but she wasn't really a part of the podcast per se. I think Karen Jimenez was in a couple of them, but not really in them. But other than that, we really didn't actually have a female to do this with. And so I messaged Miss Shadow Lady. I messaged Stony Loki. I messaged a few people. And I got to the point where I'm at now where I'm just like, it's time. Let's do this. So this is an opportunity. This is a first for me. It was amazing because I got to learn a lot about somebody who I truly love, to the point that I didn't even know her mom passed away. You find that out in the podcast. I had no clue. Never heard of it. Didn't even know that had happened. Miss Shadow Lady is somebody who I love dearly, like a sister, and I don't know everything about her, and that's the best part about these podcasts. Now, to get to the sponsor. I am sponsored with a company called Kickoff. For as little as $5 a month, you can be entered into an opportunity of a lifetime for yourself. Think about this. For as little as $5 a month, you can boost your credit score crazy. I've already boosted my credit score over 100 points. When I started my journey, I was at 548. 548. I am officially at 650. My credit score is officially at 651. It was crazy when I went to look before I hit the record button today that my credit score has gone up 100 points since I started this journey just a little over 4 months ago. Mind blowing. But why use kickoff, you say? Because it will boost your credit by reporting to the Equifax Credit Bureau for $5 a month. Now, if you do the $20 or $35 plan, you will actually be reporting to all three credit bureaus, and it will actually boost your credit even that much further. Imagine what I've done in just a 1 year span is boosting my credit score already almost 100 points just by doing this little thing. Now, if you're trying to better your credit, I understand sometimes it's hard, but if you do these things, I promise you, you will not regret it. Number one, make sure that you are, and I highly recommend this, make sure that you are doing the $5 plan for yourself. Don't do this because of me, okay? Do this for yourself. Just do the $5 plan and just try it out. Give it a couple of months because, Rome wasn't built in a day, of course. But try to build your credit. And like I said, for as little as $5 a month, you can build your credit pretty quickly. I only do the $5 plan. And there will be a link in there. We will both get $30 if you sign up and do the $5 plan. Now, if you don't want to do it, I totally get it. It is not something I'm requiring my followers. To do this is to help me pursue my dream in a sense because you're allowing me to earn a little bit of extra money, and that money will go to future podcasters. So adding more people into the podcast. You don't have to do it. Trust me, I would not be upset if you didn't. Now, let's get to this week's podcast. As I mentioned, Shadow Lady Gaming. I love her. I cannot wait for you guys to hear what she has to say. It was truly amazing. Get to learn a lot about her. So please, guys, give her a follow because the future is bright for her. Here we go.
And we are back with another podcast. This is Star King Gaming Presents Story Time. And this time we got a wonderful story. Ironically, this is the first time we've actually interviewed a female personnel, rather they're a content creator, that isn't married to us. In the Star King podcast and the Kingdom Talks with Kings, King Uno and I did our wives in one episode. Other than that, we have never interviewed a female colleague. This is crazy. So this is a first, and I'm glad it's with somebody I truly love. And
Aw.
Shadow Lady Gaming. She goes by Brown Sugar Foodie now, but I know her as Shadow Lady. That's all. I'm always gonna know her as. So to tell the story, this is your story, and I want you to tell your story starting from your childhood. What was your childhood like?
Well, I come from two parents that never really married. They were childhood friends. So both sets of my grandparents were best friends actually.
Oh,
Um
okay.
and yeah, so my parents grew up together. They, went their separate ways and lived their lives, and then they came back together again when they were like 24. And then they had my older sister, and then they had me. Um so they stayed together for 8 years before they had separated. So I ended up living with my dad. So like my childhood was fine, but I felt a little lonely actually, just because I feel like that separation,
Right. Was
they
your
never.
sister with you? Because you said that you went with your dad. Your older sister, did she go with your dad as well?
Yes.
Okay, I was
So
just curious about that because I wasn't sure if you meant like you as in just you or you as you and your older sister. Sorry about that.
oh no, no, it's fine. So yeah, so me and my sister, so pretty much they went to court, and my dad got full custody of us.
Okay.
So that happened or whatever. They settled it. They settled it in court or what have you, because my mom, just she had to get herself together. And then they settled outside of court that she could come get us every other weekend. So they settled that out of court, but technically he had full custody of us.
Okay.
So um, it was an adjustment, because I think, like, after that happened, my dad got married 6 months later to a lady. So that was just a huge adjustment. I just really didn't care for the marriage. So and I had some things that happened to me in that process as well, that contributed to depression.
Okay.
So, like, I was an honor roll student
Yeah.
up until, I want to say, like, fifth grade or sixth grade, and like my grades just started dropping after that. I just stopped caring about school. Um, I had friends, but couldn't really keep any. Like, I was a well-rounded kid, but I really stayed to myself for the most part.
Okay. So you were shy in a sense.
Yes.
Okay.
Shy, innocent, but did not want to be messed with. So, like, I have been suspended from school before for
Okay.
somebody messing with me.
Got it. So you ain't afraid to throw hands if need be.
Right. Oh, I have never been afraid of throwing hands. Never. Mm-mm. My grandfather was a boxer, actually, and
Oh.
he trained with he's retired now.
Okay.
Sugar Ray Leonard. Um Sugar Ray Leonard used to live in our neighborhood. So um
Wild. It's like one of the only
mhm,
names I know in boxing. It's crazy.
yeah.
Sugar Ray Leonard and Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield, like
hmm
literally, and Muhammad Ali, like literally the biggest names. But Sugar Ray
hmm
Leonard is one of the few names I know.
And my grandfather became a boxer because of him, because Sugar Ray Leonard did train him.
That's
And we
awesome.
saw him a lot. We saw him a lot. He lived in the neighborhood. So it was cool being able to see him and meet his son and stuff, and I would spar with his son. It was great. It was pretty good. So
It does sound like a great time.
yeah.
But it takes out a lot of frustrations too. You were talking about you dealing with depression.
hmm
Boxing can be a great escape. I know wrestling was for me what they call professional wrestling, not like high school wrestling. I did it just because it was a way to escape, and like I created an alter ego, so to speak, and got to be
hmm
somebody who I wasn't, like this fearless guy that I was not. I was
Right.
afraid of heights, but yet I was going up on ladders. I was jumping off of top ropes and off of buildings and everything. I was fearless as a wrestler, but my real life, I would not climb a ladder unless I absolutely had to. So I kind
Yeah,
of
I
get
used
like
to.
that. It's a great escape. I don't know about boxing, but I know that professional wrestling, the training is kind of similar in a sense because there's a lot of, you're working out similar things. And I know for wrestling, I think one of the only things I remember is the punching bag, like really well. I remember doing that because it works your cardio, works your upper arms, and it's a great
hmm
workout. And so it's like boxing was like one of those things I wish I would have got into just so for it probably would help my career. And
Right.
it's a great exercise and a great release. Like, again, you mentioned, you're dealing with depression. Was it because you wanted to be with your mom?
Um, I would say a little bit of that, but it was just that, when a child goes through, this is me talking now, being the age that I am,
Yes.
that I really feel like that it was just confusing. I didn't know why my parents were no longer together. And mind you, this
Okay.
happened when I was about 5. So I
Okay.
didn't know what was going on. Like, why did, mom and dad separate? Something did happen, and then it was revealed to me. I think I was like probably like 15 or 16, where I got eventually both sides of the story, and then I made up my mind of, look, it was both of y'all's fault.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you two should have never gotten together. And it's just, I don't know how I view. how I personally view relationships.
Yes.
I can't see myself dealing with someone not married to for 8 years and we're living together and having children. That's just me.
Yeah. No, and I mean
Like,
it's kind of like a an old school mentality, I guess you could say, because that
yeah,
was back in like our grandparents' day. Like let's say I'm not trying to say it in a bad way, but the only way I can think of saying it is the bad way. You knock somebody up, like you're
yeah.
supposed
You
to
stay
marry
with
that
them.
person. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's just how things were. Now,
But
granted,
they
I
didn't but
kind
they
of
didn't get married though. That's the
yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, see, I kind of did the same thing with Marsha because she was pregnant before we actually got legally married. But in my eyes, we were married. Like she was living with me. It was just a
Right.
piece of paper, and she never
Right.
really pushed the issue, so I never really pushed it myself. And then she
Yeah.
said, "We need to get married. We just need to." And I'm like, "That's fine with me. Like, that's what
Well,
you
I
really
mean, it's
want. Let's do
also
it."
it, but it's also a protection too.
Yes,
Um,
it is.
in a way, because it's just that, yes, I mean, you have some people who, they stay together,
Right.
and like this actually happened with my mom. I don't know if I had told you that she did pass away a
No,
couple years ago.
I did not know
Yeah,
this. I did
we
not know
can
that.
we can get into that too about what happened.
Okay, we will. We
Um,
will. When it
but
gets there. I honestly
yeah,
did not know that. No.
yeah, oh yeah, she passed away 2 years ago.
I am so sorry to hear
Um,
that.
yeah, that we can
If I
definitely
was
get into that.
told it wasn't by you, and maybe that's
Hmm.
why I never talked to you about it. I don't
Oh,
think
okay.
David's ever said anything either, but it could have been like maybe I was playing with Black Owl and like, oh, Shadow Lady might, I don't, I'm not saying that happened, but if somebody did
Yeah,
say something, it wasn't from you.
somebody probably mentioned it in
Yeah.
passing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that kind of just like went to like, you know, um, what happened with my mom and her boyfriend. Like they were together for 30 years, together but not married.
Yeah.
And when things like that happen, like if a person gets divorced, that's when you start getting into assets and stuff like that. This goes
Exactly.
here, this goes here, and or having a prenup, or when it comes to dealing with funeral arrangements, people just assume that, oh, I'm just with this person and then I get everything that they leave me, and that may not be the case.
Right. Right.
That may not be the case. So I do feel like that, if people are together, and everyone's situation is different, that marriage can be a protection for you, especially when you are with somebody. Because my mom's boyfriend really did not have that much of a say when my mom officially passed. He didn't.
Yeah.
He paid for everything, yes, but in terms of like making certain decisions, they was just like, well, are you her husband? Nope. Well, she didn't want to talk to this person. Well, who's next of kin in line? Oh, we're her daughter.
Right.
So yeah, so yeah, it can be a protection for sure.
Yeah, and I get like some people don't get married for certain reasons, like medical, like that was kind of the reason why me and Marsha never really got married for a
Hmm.
while, was because she had better medical coverage if we weren't married. If we got married, it was
Oh wow.
yeah, it was one of those situations for Maddie. But then it was
Yeah. Okay.
like she was able to get on to this medical program that she's on still because working technically for my grandma, she was
Hmm.
considered a state worker. And then now that
Oh,
Maddie's autistic and we
right.
have documentation, it proves, and she's basically in a sense Maddie's caretaker, and so she's
Mhm.
got that. So she's back on that same plan. And then it was like, well, Maddie's going to be autistic pretty much her whole life. So we can
Right.
do that. And then if we get married, Maddie gets double coverage. So
Right.
that's what kind of made us realize, okay, we can do this now. That's why we weren't married before. It was just we were going to
Oh,
get
okay.
married before Maddie was born, but then Marshall was smart about it.
Hmm.
I'm
Right.
gonna be honest. It was all her. It was
Hmm.
like I said, to me, it was just a formality in a sense. Like I know I said it was a piece of paper because to me that's all it was. I know I want to be with her the rest of my life. Yeah, some days we argue, and that's just marriage. Sometimes I
Oh
start
yeah.
the arguments just to have a little fun with her.
Oh no.
But I mean, that's just me being, me. I like to troll a little bit, not, and I
Right.
don't ever push it too far. I don't start a fight just to, start a fight. I start a fight just to play around more so.
Hmm. I get it.
But yeah, I get where you're coming from with the whole marriage thing. Like, I agree wholeheartedly. and like you said, there are sometimes there are situations, and I get both sides of it, but I'm kind of old school because that's how my grandparents raised me.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I get
I
that.
agree. If you're living with somebody, you're having kids, and you're not married, what are you waiting for?
Having kids, and it's just like people are doing stuff while like having the idea of marriage. It's just like, wait a minute, we're moving in together, we bought a car together, we're having like three children. You might as well.
Exactly,
You
exactly.
might as well, like you're putting in all this work, and then what happens if the relationship doesn't work?
Right,
Like that can get even ugly. I mean, divorce gets ugly, but then it's just like there's a protection for you. Oh, this person did this, that, and the other. Well, they're gonna have to pay for that. There you have spousal support, you have, alimony, then,
right.
if kids are involved, like that can serve as a protection. But, when you're building a life together and you're doing all these things and investing in one another and not married, that can be get pretty ugly if things were to turn south.
Exactly, exactly. Definitely could. Oh, back to your childhood. I'm sorry that we went on a little tangent there. See, this is what I
Oh,
was
it's okay.
telling you about. Sometimes we get off topic, and not in a
Oh
bad
no,
way,
it's
of
fine.
course, in a good way.
Yeah.
I'm still learning things about you. Like, I didn't know about your mom. And again,
Mhm.
I am sorry, but you know, you said that you were starting to do bad in school grade wise. Like, what turned around for you? Because you graduated high school, I'm sure. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, yeah,
you're
yeah.
very smart. You're not in any means, you're very smart.
Oh,
So
thank you.
I know for a fact that it wasn't because you didn't, you weren't smart enough to do school. It's more, obviously there's something. What exactly was triggering you to not want to
I,
do good in school? Do you know?
well, it was like I said. I mean, dealing with my parents, not being together, especially at a young age. I really feel like that got to me, and then I had lost my grandparents, my dad's parents, like 2 years of within 2 years of each other, 2 or 3 years of each other. So that kind of triggered things as well because this was my first time ever going to a funeral.
Yeah.
I was 12, and then like my grandfather's funeral, I was 14, and it was open casket, so I had never seen a dead body before. So that kind of,
A little
triggered.
scary seeing that for the first time.
Oh yeah, it was definitely very scary seeing that. And it happened within 2 years, 2 years of each other, and it
Crazy.
was just really sad. Um,
Think he died
what?
of a broken heart, or she, whoever passed away
Oh,
second.
they had divorced
Oh,
like when
okay,
my dad was like 14. So my grandfather just continued dating, and then my grandmother got married.
okay.
Um yeah, she was like married for like 7 years and then like passed. That was a sad story because she was a registered nurse, and I guess a patient that she was like dealing with had had AIDS, had
Oh,
AIDS, and they needed to stabilize the person, and so like when they were drawing blood, you have to be careful with that kind of stuff and stuff,
right.
dealing with that type of patient, and the patient kind of had a seizure, and that needle she wasn't careful with had stuck into her, and so she had contacted AIDS.
Dang.
Yeah, so um obviously, back then they didn't really have, this was in the 90s, so you know
The
well
medical
technically,
wasn't
oh yeah, it
what it
wasn't
is today.
there,
Yeah,
so we, narrowed it down to uh an estimated time of like how much time that she had left, and just seeing her deteriorate was, really bad. But
yeah,
in terms of asking your question about school, like I wanted to graduate.
yeah.
So I just, I wasn't in any, special classes or anything like
Right, right.
that. My motivation was to just pretty much just graduate. I mean, my mom and dad, put into my, my brain that, look, this is something that you're going to need at minimum. Like, if you decide to go to college, that's fine. If not, then that's fine. But if you want to have a job, the first thing that they're going to look at is if you have a high school diploma.
Yeah,
You need a high school diploma to even have to get your foot in any door for that matter. So that's what kind of like, um motivated me to like graduate.
Yeah, and I get that because I saw the way my parents struggled, and I was like, my dad never got out of high. Not my dad didn't even make it to high school. My stepdad, and he's working as a mechanic, literally
Mhm.
until he couldn't work anymore. And seeing this as a kid, he comes home, he's hurting, he can barely walk, but yet he still has to go to work every day, and he's struggling to get, we're like struggling to get by. I told myself I don't want to be in that position at all.
Yeah.
I don't want to be making like what he was making, barely making ends meet, like having to work a second job as a pizza delivery person just to pay bills. I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, I can't do that. I'm not going to do that. And that's why I made sure that I graduated high school. I did have some college, but I just never really pursued it. I just found
Same here.
found
Same
something I
here.
liked in retail. I love working night crew. I should have
Mhm.
never left night crew because I'm right back into it. I love it because it's easy for me. I've been doing it so long that it's like I can do it in my sleep.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
make good money.
I was the same way in college where I actually had this completely different idea of college. Like I guess I went by what I saw on TV where it's just
Okay.
like, "Oh, it's an automatic 4 years and then you graduate and then you have this great job."
Yeah. Right.
Well, that didn't work out for me because I didn't know about placement tests. um Placement tests that you had to do, and then it was like you had to take core classes
Right.
before you even touch your major.
Right.
And I was just like, so if I go to school for an associate's degree, that could take 4 years.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to be in school that long. So I don't know. Like I just did 12 years. I don't
Yes,
want to do
exactly.
I don't want to do that.
Like, why couldn't they teach this stuff to us in high school? Like, while I was, while
Right.
it was free.
And then right, and then now, which I mean, they're trying to change things around with schooling, where now you have the option, or like depending on like academics, like you can take some college courses now in high
Yeah,
school,
they do
which
that
can
now. Yes.
definitely help. I know that they have like a work study program still in the works. And then like my stepson is what they have this program. It's called Cat North, which is pretty much like a work study. Like they'll take like a couple of periods off from school and they actually go to their major. So like he wants to get
Oh,
into cooking.
that's cool.
Yeah, so like I think for like the morning, like they take him to a restaurant and they actually teach him how to cook. Now it's completely up to him when he graduates high school. If he decides that he wants to go that route, he has an automatic job waiting for him as soon as he
Okay,
comes out of high school. So if he wants to get into, the business of like restaurant owning, they can help him with that. And then, or if he wants to become a chef, like they'll set him up with a job. So
that is awesome.
yes, and that doesn't come easy either. Usually they select kids, so it's just like maybe a handful of kids, or like less than a handful, and he was picked.
That is amazing. Wish they did that when I was in school. They might have, and I just never was picked.
Same here. Like I didn't yeah, I don't know if that was even available.
'Cause I went to college because I wanted to become an accountant. I wanted to work at a bank. That's always been my dream job. Well,
Right.
then, like, I was like thinking, oh, I'm gonna take like accounting 101. Like, nope. I was like,
Mhm.
oh, you're gonna take business math first, and then you got to take algebra, then you got to take this class, and I'm like, why do I
Mhm.
need to take English? Like, why? Like, why does that need to be required for accounting? Like, I mean,
Right.
like
You're dealing with numbers.
I couldn't figure it out. But then I like looking at it now, I'm like, well, if you're gonna work at a bank, English needs to be, something you should be at least a little bit good at, even if it's, not great. You should be able to speak the language fluently. And I'm like, I did, but in their eyes, they want you to have perfect verbiage. They want you to, because there's a lot of big words that you will end up using. I'm sure. I never
Oh yeah,
did.
definitely.
but I mean, I
Hmm.
didn't pursue that dream. And
Right.
it's crazy. Like that's cool that schools are doing that, or some schools. I don't know if all of them do it. That's amazing.
Yeah, I wish they had something like that in my school. I went to a magnet school, so like academics was, very important, but
Right.
um yeah, they had a pretty much a work study program, but it was just um limited to seniors. So they would have their classes in the morning and then they could leave campus and go to work and
Okay.
still receive credit for being at school for the day. So,
Okay. That's kind of. I mean, in a good way, it kind of helps you build work ethic too.
mhm.
A lot of kids don't have that these days.
Yeah, very true.
But back to your schooling. You know, you finished high school. I'm obviously imagining.
Yes.
What was your career job in your mind, like as a kid, and then versus when you got to high school ish? I know
Oh
as a
my
kid,
goodness.
sometimes you could have like 100 different things, and then when you get to high school, you start to realize I'm really good at this. Maybe I should pursue this. You know what I mean?
Yes, I had like 101 different types of jobs that I wanted to do. Oh my goodness. So like when I was a kid, I would say about like around between like 5 and like 7, I
Okay.
wanted to become a nurse
Okay.
because I loved helping people. And then um I want to say when I started playing video games, well I started playing video games at 8. Um
What was your first games that you were into?
oh, Sonic the Hedgehog and
Okay.
Mortal Kombat.
Okay.
So
Those are
I got,
solid.
yeah, oh, definitely solid games and Double Dragon.
Oh, Double Dragon. I love Double Dragon.
Yes. So yeah, so from like 8 to 14, um I was heavy into like different video games, and then I got introduced to Tomb Raider. And then I was just like, oh, becoming an archaeologist would be amazing because I would be able to like, travel and stuff. So I was into that for a while. And when I had graduated, um, and I was just like, well, I need to be able to pick a major. I didn't want to be a professional student,
Right.
somebody that just did not know what they wanted. Um, well, I'll back up to between ninth and 12th grade, which I forgot to mention. Um, I was in ROTC, but it was mandatory. And in
Oh, okay.
most places, they're not mandatory.
Right.
But because of the class that I was in at first, um, the class that I had graduated from when I was in ninth grade, the principal saw how like the kids were in my class and immediately made it mandatory. So um, yeah, I had a military background for about 3 years. Um, I was the only student that made it up to second lieutenant, which that made me a higher rank than most of my teachers. So technically, they couldn't tell me what to do. Yeah, I was a second lieutenant, so a lot of them were like staff sergeants and master sergeants, which is pretty much below
Right.
my ranking. Um, so I had, my mom was just like, "Oh, you're doing good with that. Like, this can take you somewhere. You know how the military is; they can pay for stuff." And I ended up dropping that because I was just like, I didn't want to go into the army, and then I had this idea that they would, deploy me to Afghanistan and all this other stuff. So that
Yeah.
scared me. And I was
Yeah.
just
No, I
like,
get it. I get it. That is
I was just
scary,
like, no.
especially with everything that
So
was going on. Yeah, that was
yeah,
that
I
was
was
a
just
legit
like,
scare at that time.
yeah, I was just like, I don't want to do this. So I left that, and then I still loved, uh, structure and law. So I was just like, well, let me go to school to be an attorney. I think that, that's something that I could do. And then that's when, they gave me the rundown of like how long that law school would take. And then, getting the reality of knowing the core classes and stuff. And it would take about 10 years.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I said, wait, I just did school for 12.
I don't
You
want to do
want me
10 more.
I was
Yeah.
like, I'm not doing 10 more. And I'm like, I can't do this. So I ended up becoming a childcare teacher, and I got used to that. It was something, it didn't come natural at first, but I became used to it. And at that time, I was making, pretty decent money at first. Gained a lot of skills. Um, and yeah, that's what kept me going for the past 20 years. Different types of childcare, becoming a nanny, helping to run an in home daycare. And currently now, I am in the field of a behavior technician working exclusively with kids with autism as well as adults.
See, that's kind of what we're dealing with now. So you know exactly what I go through. You know, we
Mhm.
have having to set up speech therapies, all these other kind of therapies, behavioral therapy, things
Mhm.
like that. So it's like I totally can relate to that, and that's the core of why we're doing these podcasts. Is relatability. It was one of the reasons. It's like it's
Mhm.
great to hear these stories, and it's like I see. Well, I don't see you, but I've gamed with you a few times, and the way you are is definitely mother like in the games. Like, you're one of those that always make sure you have heals on you. That way, you need a med
Yes.
kit. Oh, I got you, James. Boom. Like,
Yes, you know
it's
how David gets, he'll go into a battle and like you have like 20% health, and here it is, I have 3 med kits, like take one.
exactly, exactly. And it's like I know I can always depend on you if I need it.
Yes.
You might not have everything, but you'll have enough to get me through the game,
Yes.
and then
Yes, I
we'll
always
clutch it.
ensure that. Yes. Yes, exactly.
No, and it's a thing I have seen with you, and it's like there's something I noticed though. It's like I I noticed, when I was talking to David, and I never really put two and two together because he was talking about having, Trey with the previous marriage. And
Mhm.
I thought, I was like, I don't know if David and Shadow Lady have a kid together. And I started thinking about it. And I remember I even made a comment to Star Queen about it. And she goes, no, because doesn't he have a kid from like a previous marriage? I'm like, okay, so you know this and I don't. Like,
Mhm.
like and
So the thing about it is that, so technically we have 2 children. Well, the oldest, our stepchild, technically, our oldest stepchild, which is David's, as well as mine, he's like 23.
okay.
Okay. We have Trey, who is um, both of his ex-wife's kids. So she was married before.
Oh, okay.
As well. She was married before, had a child who was the oldest stepson of David as well as myself. And then they had Trey, which is also her son. So yeah, we don't have any children together.
But you have animals, and that's the same thing in
Yeah,
my
we
eyes.
got yeah, we got three animals, 2 cats and a dog.
One of the cats was trying to get in the podcast when I was working with Mr. Black Ice
Char-
X.
yeah,
It was kind of funny.
I was in the background. It was Charlie, the older cat.
I thought it
Yeah,
was
she
funny. I was like, "Is that a cat I see? Like,
mhm.
am I seeing a cat right now? Like, I want to make sure
Yeah,
I'm seeing right."
she becomes very nosy and wants to know what's going on. So
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So,
mhm.
just curiosity killed the cat. Why didn't you ever have kids, or was it something you couldn't? If you don't mind me asking.
Oh no, no, not at all. So I found out that I could not. Well, I cannot have children, as far as I know. I have
Okay.
fibroids, so
Oh, okay.
yeah, so that can be a huge um, that can be very huge for a woman that cannot have children. So although we are still trying, we're probably giving it like 2 more years. I do not want to go with the surgery because um, they can grow back, and then I will have to do surgery over and over and over again, and that's something I don't
Yeah,
want to do.
I
So,
I don't
um,
think anybody should go through surgery
yeah,
multiple times if they don't
yeah,
need to.
multiple times. Yeah, because I was like, oh, okay, I'll just go with the surgery. But then finding out that, oh, no, they can grow back. Well, wait a minute. If they grow back, I got to get surgery again.
Yeah,
I'm not doing that multiple times. So I'm trying to shrink them naturally to the point where there is an alternate surgery where they're not cutting me open.
right.
Um, so, trying to shrink them to the point where that can happen, and then they will have to see if the uterus is still intact for me to even consider having a child, and then of course getting like fertility help and stuff like that. So um hopefully within the next couple years, but if not, then it's a no-go for us.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's just meant to be, and I know that sounds kind of negative, but
Hmm.
you got kids in different ways, the step kids and of course the animals. So not all is lost in the world of the well, brown sugar foodie. I keep wanting to say Shadow Lady and Mr. Black
Awesome.
Eye Sex world. Your guys' wonderful kingdom that you have built. So I mean, I also like I was more so curious about that because I was like I never really put two and two together.
Hmm.
Like I know that Black Eye Sex has kids, and and he's told me the story before, even before the podcast. I knew that it was from a previous marriage, and I was like, huh, she's so amazing, and I know she loves kids.
Hmm.
So what's missing? And then I was like, well,
Oh, trust me, David, ever since every chance that he gets, every chance he gets, he's just like, yeah, it would be cool to have a daughter. And it's just like he'll say it in just so many ways possible. And it's just like, I was like, yeah, if we can, get this together and, plan accordingly. I just have to make sure that, once these fibroids shrink, it just really depends on, if
that means a
things
lot
are,
more podcasts are gonna have to happen too, because
yeah,
babies aren't cheap. No.
right. That too. Here it is. Like, raising a 14-year-old is wild.
Yeah.
Being a
Oh yeah.
stepmom. Like, oh my goodness.
I mean, it's a blessing though too. It
It
is.
is.
It's a blessing, and it it really like I don't know, like because you look at what you had as a kid and you see what they have as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking to myself, it's like I didn't have a tablet. We didn't have tablets. We had those big ass TVs. If you had a
Mm-hmm.
TV in your room, it didn't have cable. Usually, it just had a VCR. You can
Mm-hmm.
watch your VHSs.
You had your video games, you had outside, you entertained yourself.
Right. A
Like
lot of
we
that.
didn't
Yeah.
there was no really getting bored.
Yeah.
Or you went to the neighbor's house and chilled with them if you was bored in the house.
Right.
Uh, outside was something that was, I don't know if it just is equivalent to it, but I feel like it is. It was equivalent to a tablet and an iPad for us.
Yeah.
Can we go outside? Like we begged to go outside.
Right.
These kids these days will stay in the house when it's 80 degrees.
Yeah.
I have to drag my stepson outside. Like, go outside, go touch grass, go
Yeah.
run around. No, I'm gonna play my video games. What? It's
Yeah.
80 degrees outside,
It's
you
beautiful
know?
out there. Yeah. And I was thinking about it when I was a kid. I don't know if maybe just it wasn't a big deal to us, but I remember like during the summertime, I was never inside. I was always out playing unless like my friends weren't available for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But I remember going outside playing basketball with the kids down the street or next door, even playing baseball, football, and I was like thinking to myself like I know where I live, it gets 100+ degrees. I was like, so it was hot back then, and I was still out there playing for hours on end. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I did that back then, and now I'm struggling just to walk to the car when it's 100 degrees out.
Yes, exactly. But then it was also like too, I don't know if you've noticed as well that um like even though we went to school in that kind of weather, like you were lucky enough that in your classroom you had a fan,
Right.
and you brought some water, and they just turned off the lights and continued with class. They didn't care if it was 100 degrees outside. You had
Exactly.
water, and that was it. But they'd be ready to close schools here where I live if it's too hot or too cold.
Right. You see, I, to my knowledge, this is my recollection. Now, I don't remember a lot. There's only been one instance where I remember they closed school, and that's because it flooded.
Yeah,
And
I
that was
mean
the
that.
only time. I mean, obviously, you can't get to the school unless you swim. So
Right.
that's how it was. It was that bad. So that's the only time I
Yeah.
I remember school ever being closed was because it flooded. But again,
Yeah.
I mean, my memory also could be a little bit, fuzzy because I did a lot of drinking and partying afterwards, after school. After I graduated high school and whatnot. So I mean, maybe that's what that is. But I really don't recollect of any times where school was shut down or closed, other than that one time with the flood.
Oh, okay.
I don't know about for you guys because where you live, you get snow, right?
We get snow, but it's not as often as people think. Like we have all four seasons, but um we will get snow if it's cold enough. Sometimes like a couple of inches.
Okay.
I know over the past 10, 20 years we've had some serious storms, but Maryland is not known for always getting snow.
Okay. Okay. I didn't know
Like,
that.
yeah, we get all four seasons. We feel all four seasons, and in some cases, like during the springtime, you may experience all four seasons in one day, which is crazy.
I
You
believe it.
don't
I
know how
mean,
to
I live in Vacaville. It's in California. It like in the area that I live, Fairfield, Vacaville, like this whole area. One day it
You
could
said
be
Fairfield?
Fairfield is literally that's where I work is Fairfield.
Okay, I have family out there.
Oh, I think I knew that. I actually think I knew
Hmm.
that. I think we talked about this before. Yeah,
Hmm.
I work
Yeah,
in
I have
Fairfield.
family out there.
So like it's like literally a 10-minute drive to work every day, and
The
then 10
houses
minutes.
out there are gorgeous.
Oh
Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
some of the areas in Fairfield are really nice. There is a lot of bad areas though, for the record.
Mm-hmm.
But the weather out here, one day it'll be nice, beautiful weather, 80, 85. Beautiful
Mm-hmm.
weather. And the next day, it's raining at like 40 degrees.
Nope.
And it's
See,
like we
no.
have no consistency now. Last couple weeks, it's our last week or so, I should say. It's been cold with fog, like our cold,
Hmm.
not freezing cold, but cold for us
Right.
Californians.
So what's cold for you guys over there on the West Coast?
I say so. Today is gonna be a high of 48.
Okay, that's a heat wave
Yeah,
because
no. Again, I'm saying for California, we don't get
yes,
cold that often. Like
which
it
I
was it was
love.
27 when I took the dog out at 3:30, 4 o'clock
Oh,
in the
oh
morning,
wow.
and it gets warmer, but it obviously because I think it's going to be 48 today. I think that's what it
Hmm.
was. But some like normally around this time of year, if it's not raining, it's usually in the 50s, which I love
Mm.
that weather because that's like the perfect football weather for me. Because it's
Oh, of
not too
course.
cold, but it's cold enough to where I won't, over sweat myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like I love
yeah.
this weather for
It's
football.
yeah. I mean, and it's perfect. 50 degrees, especially when you're running because you cool off at the same time.
Right,
You're
right.
not you're not overheating, so that makes sense. Because I used to play football, so
Yeah, I heard from the podcast that me and Black Ice X had. He said that you were more into football than he is, and
hmm
he was telling me a story like, "Oh, did you hear this person got hurt?" And they're like, "Who was that?" Like, "That's our defensive end," And he was just making he didn't say names. And I was
hmm
like, he made a comment about you being a huge Redskins fan back then. Now they're the
yes.
Commanders.
Hmm.
And then he said that he was a Cowboys fan. He goes, I got tired of ruining my weekend, watching the Cowboys lose. And I was like, how do you think I feel? I'm a Lions fan. We literally
Oh,
went
geez,
winless a season. So
right.
every week was like, hey, we scored a touchdown. We were happy. Like,
That was a Super Bowl to
that was
you
a Super
guys.
Bowl for us. Like with the preseason
We
games.
got a
Yeah,
touchdown.
like we were happy. I mean, now they're good. But I mean, it
Yeah.
was like he was telling the story, and I was like thinking to myself, I was like, it's crazy because like I, there's a few teams I really don't like. Cowboys
Hmm.
is not one of them, for the record. I
Oh
just don't like a
no.
lot of the fans.
The fans are a lot of there's two different types of fans when it comes to the Cowboys.
Yeah,
You have the ones that you can actually have a decent conversation with,
right.
where they can admit their wrongs as a team
Yes.
and still have fun with, oh, we did a couple things. And then you have the fans that are delusional who
Oh,
still think that they're America's team
right.
when it happened 10,000 years ago. You
Yeah.
know,
They win a game and they're Super Bowl bound. They think,
right. And I'm like, nobody told you
Yeah.
that you guys are not America's team. But I do have a question for you, though,
Okay.
now that we're bringing up football. So I guess like I don't say that I didn't keep up with the Detroit Lions, but I knew that you guys had the quarterback Matthew Stafford.
Right.
Matthew Stafford was with you guys for a long time,
10 years
correct?
plus. Yeah.
Yeah, about 10 years plus. Now, I talked to somebody a while ago, not too long ago, I would say, and I was just like, well, why is it that they're winning games now? Now
Coaching.
that Matthew's coaching.
The
Okay.
coaching. Dan Campbell, ever since he came in, it the Lions have been needing a good head coach for a long time. They've had good head
Okay.
coaches, but the team didn't fit the system, if that makes sense. Like you can have
Yes.
literally the greatest coach. Let's just say we're bringing back Vince Lombardi, and
Right. Oh
from the
yeah, I
the
remember
old
him.
days, that's what the
Mhm.
trophy is named after. So he's
Right.
considered one of the greatest coaches. Or let's say John Madden. Everybody knows who Madden is because of the
Of
football game.
course.
Let's say
Exactly.
let's say we're bringing back Madden. Madden could come in and coach the Lions, and they could be an 0-16 team with the team they have now because
Mhm.
it his style of play is different than anybody else's. Dan Campbell, it's like his team. Like he created a team somehow on his own because he makes things work because he finds people's strengths, and so therefore that's why the Lions are actually having more success now than they did with Stafford. Because if I'm going to be honest with you, I think Stafford is a better quarterback than Goff, even in today's
Oh, of course.
you
I
know
yes. There was
society.
nothing wrong with his with how he played.
Right, one hundred
It's just
percent.
that you see him thriving. You see
Yeah,
him thriving now. And it's just like I was wondering, I'm like, well, wait a minute, why did you guys get rid of him?
and it's because the Lions did something for once that was smart. Because Dan Campbell wanted Jared Goff because Jared Goff is more mobile, more younger. So it was kind
Yeah,
of like he was able to build a franchise quarterback with the
right.
Lions. Yeah, it took a year or two for them to get really, really good, but
Mhm.
they were smart. They also got draft picks. They got 2 first-round draft picks and Jared Goff. So you got a starting quarterback who actually was in a Super Bowl, I think 2 or 3 years before. It was either 2 or 3, I can't remember, before they traded him. And so he obviously can win. And you got 2 draft picks in which one of them they picked up the running back Gibbs. The other one was the tight end that who's currently out, and that's Laporta. So they got 2 excellent draft picks that are actually contributing very well to the team. Plus the Jared Goff. Plus they had their own draft picks. So they did something smart. And now again, I was asked the question, what was my thoughts when the trade happened? Because everybody knows I'm a Lions fan. And I said
Right.
the exact words I said is, I hope Matthew Stafford wins a Super Bowl ring because he's not going to win one in Detroit. And I meant that
Okay.
because he would not fit Dan Campbell's style of offense. And he won
Right.
a Super
Okay.
Bowl with the Rams the next year. And I knew it was going to happen. And I was so happy. That was like the one time I actually cheered for the Rams because I
Right.
wanted them to win that year. Not because I
Right.
wanted to see the Lions lose, but I wanted to see Matthew Stafford get at least one ring. I'm okay if he gets a second one. Honestly, I am
Mhm.
because I'm a huge fan of him. Now,
Mhm.
if the Lions are playing the Rams, I'm going to root for the Lions, but the Rams win, I won't be
You're not
upset.
going to be upset. You're not going to be upset
I'll
at
be like,
all.
hey, it's good. Matthew Stafford can win another one, or whatever. That's the way
You
I
know
look
what?
at it. I have a different perspective on sports, though, too. 'Cause I love my team, but I think because we
Mhm.
lost so much, I just kind of
Mm.
stopped loving the Lions and started loving football.
Yeah, you're going down the route that David is going because he feels the same way.
Well,
Like,
it's
I
like
mean,
like he said, the exact words he said is, "I stopped letting, my team ruin my Sundays." And I was like, "Yeah, how do you think I felt? I'm a Lions fan. Like every
yeah. Oh,
Sunday
you
was a
poor
loss. We
thing.
knew we were losing."
Well, how do you think I feel? I don't know what's going to happen with us. My blood pressure goes up and down every time that we play because how do we go from a 12-5 team from last year to all of these injuries and like
Right?
nobody knows the concept of football
It's
and that we are
crazy.
afraid to tackle? Like, what happened?
Yeah, it's amazing what can happen with injuries. You lose like one or two core players, and all of a sudden the whole
The
team
team
goes
just
down. And I
falls
mean,
apart like a deck of cards.
I
Yeah.
wa- I watched that quarterback, Jaden McDaniels. I like
Hmm.
him. I love him.
Oh yeah.
He's a solid quarterback. I think he's a great draft pick. They were smart for drafting him. And I
Yeah.
look at the receiving core they have. They have a lot of great talent, there. I'm like, this team can be a Super Bowl contender. Maybe maybe not this year. I know they're having a lot of injuries, but in the future, I think they're going to be a contender for many years.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of time for you guys. You guys are going to be in the Super
Yeah.
Bowl again because I remember as a kid they were in the Super Bowl like in the '90s. I don't remember
Yeah.
what
We
year.
only have we only have three we only have three rings though, but
Only the Lions don't have any. We haven't won since
that's
before the
true.
Super Bowl.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I don't want them to get rid of Dan Quinn. I mean, we had a good year last year, and um
I think
I
getting rid of him
just
is a mistake if they even
oh
think
yeah,
about
I
it
don't want
because
I mean, I'm upset that of how things are going this year for
right,
the Commanders, but like look what we did last year. And it's just like, it's just these injuries, and like our offensive line needs to get it together.
I
Like
agree.
we
Yeah,
can't have another RG3
right.
moment. Like I'm not trying to have that. We have an amazing quarterback.
Let's not break him. Yeah,
Right. Please don't break him. Like
yeah,
I can't go through another year like this.
yeah. Because RG3, that was a scary situation, and then I thought you guys had a good answer with that kid. He passed away.
Sean
Haskins,
Taylor? Oh. Yeah.
Dwayne Haskins. I liked him. He had a strong arm.
Mhm.
The guy could bomb the ball. I was like, this guy's pretty good. And then he just really never had the opportunity. Then I think he ended up going to like Pittsburgh and then got hit by a car on the freeway or something.
Yeah.
That was a sad story.
Yes,
But
it was.
there's two players that I actually do love that played on the Redskins. Actually, they never played for the Commanders. And one, Sean Taylor, who obviously rest in peace.
Pass. Yeah.
Yeah, he was my favorite Redskin player of all time. In fact, every single
He
Madden game he was in, I took him from them.
he was a beast. He was like one of
Well,
he
he
was
played hard
somebody
even in
that
the Pro Bowl.
oh yeah, he did.
You
He
know,
did. He was one of the inspirations for me
yeah.
because I used to play safety in school.
Okay. Same with me.
So
Same with me. My favorite player growing up was a guy named Steven Atwater. He played for the Broncos and technically the Jets for a year, but kind of was like at the end of his career then. But one of the hardest hitting safeties I ever seen was Steve Atwater, but Sean Taylor was a close second.
yes,
Both were
he was
amazing.
a monster on the field. Like you did
Right.
not want to get hit by Sean Taylor.
Well, him and Laron Landry, they called them Area 51 because one wore number 21, the other one wore the number 30, and those guys were just built like linebackers, but had
Yeah.
speed of a wide receiver.
Yeah, which is scary. Like
Yes,
you do
imagine
not.
if they would have had 10 years. Just
Oh,
imagine, would have been crazy.
yes, it would have
The
been.
playoffs, the everything. Because they had a
Hmm.
good team. Quarterback wasn't the greatest, but it was good enough to win. They were a playoff
Yeah.
contender, and then of course, he got unfortunately he was killed in his own home. Right, it was a home robbery or something.
Yeah, it was a home invasion, and I believe that where where they shot him, it was in the groin, or it was like um one of those arteries that
Yeah,
if you bled out, like that was it. There was like you get hit one good time, like there's I mean, unless somebody's like literally there doing surgery on you,
yeah,
that's it. Like there was no way of saving him because of just like the artery that they had hit.
that's sad. So sad.
Yeah.
Such a good player, and cut down. My second favorite player is a guy named Rod Gardner. He was a wide
Mhm.
receiver. Played a few years there and then like fell off. But I was at a Lions game. It was a Redskins versus Lions, and Rod Gardner scored a touchdown, I think, or like a first down. I don't remember. If it was I think it was a first down, and then
Mhm.
like came running up to the fans and because he thought he scored a touchdown because it was close. He got to like the 1 yard line, and he had high fived us, and it was like he was all pumped, and we got all pumped because we were gonna lose either way.
Mhm.
And it was just funny because he came up high five the two kids that were sitting in the front row, and it was me and one of my best friends. His name's Brian, and he high fived us both, and it was like this guy's cool. So he became my favorite player for a while. I think he ended up giving us his gloves, but I gave it
Oh wow.
to my friend Brian. I let him have it because I got a ball from another football player that was on the Lions named Herman Moore, who was actually
Mhm.
my favorite all time player, and I lost that football many years ago. I wish I still had it.
Oh no.
Yeah, I have a signed jersey of his, but I want that football because he caught it at the game and then gave it to me. It was cool.
Mm.
I wish I still had it. It's not like it's worth anything. It's just worth a lot to me.
Yeah, sentimental.
Yeah. So I know we went on another little tangent there, but you mentioned
Yeah.
that you lost your mom a couple years
Yes.
ago. What
Yes.
exactly happened?
So, my mom smoked for many years, so of course, that can lead to a lot of different issues, COPD and
Right.
lung cancer. So, what happened with that, um, so I started seeing symptoms. The one thing that kind of scared me was the constant coughing that comes with, smoking.
Right.
And so it just started becoming worse. And like she's always had a very weak immune system. So um, there was this one year that I had noticed that her leg was hurting really bad. And so I'm like, oh, it's old age. Why don't you, try to like go, somewhere so you can start doing physical therapy. So this actually had to do with the lung cancer. You're just like, what, her leg, it has a lot to do with that. So that had been going on for about a year. Now during COVID, they have found a lung mass in her lung, but you know that with COVID they closed everything,
Right.
everything. So like when things started opening up, she did not go back to the doctor to follow up, about
Okay.
the lung mass, and so
Yeah.
that's where the cancer I do believe had started, or it had already started spreading. So fast forward to I had started working at this new job. And she was like, yeah, I'm starting to have this really, really bad cough. And like it sounded horrible when she was on the phone, like coughing and hacking. I'm like, how long have you had this? Because usually a cold lasts about a week and a half,
Right.
if it's a common cold. She was like, oh, I had this for about a month. And I'm like, Mom, go to the hospital because you're sounding like this for a whole month. And so she went, they did a biopsy, and she was like, I was like, yeah, just call me back. And I had a split shift. So I came home, started dinner a little early, and she called me back crying. And she was like, I need you to come down to the hospital immediately. So, I called my boss and told them that, I had to leave and that I don't know when I'll be back because my mom's in the hospital. And that's when they had declared her stage 3, which I later on found out looking at the records. It was actually stage 4. So the doctor had made a mistake. So with any kind of cancer, if it's like stomach cancer, that's where it starts from.
Right.
Whenever it starts to go to other parts of your body, it's always automatically stage 4. If
Okay.
you have breast cancer, brain cancer, if there's other things in your body that mimic um, that cancer, is stage 4 because that means that it has spread. So it spread to her leg, like her femur bone was being pretty much eaten from the inside, like it was eroding away. So her leg was just constantly hurting. It was down to the bone. And so, yeah, just finding that out and letting people know. And, they said that, looking back at the records, they made a mistake, that it was stage 4, but that she could still do chemo and radiation. So I'm like, okay, that's good. Started doing that, started taking care of her. They brought her home and stuff like that. So I started taking care of her, um, and, handling her meals because it's different with cancer patients that, they have to eat healthy food because that could actually help them with chemo and radiation.
Right.
So started doing that or whatever, and then I had to go back to work. Radiation, chemo, radiation. Well, they lifted her on the table, and her leg snapped in half
Oh wow.
from the femur bone being weak and stuff like that. So they transfer her to another hospital, and they pretty much said that we're going to prep her for surgery. But there was one problem. She had trouble breathing. Now, mind you, lung cancer,
Right.
that's where your test is.
Yeah.
So, having trouble breathing, you can't do surgery if you're having trouble breathing. That's with any kind of surgery.
Right.
If your if your breathing is not top notch, you can actually die under, surgery. And they didn't want to be held liable for that. So they had to try to get her stable, but they couldn't. So what happened? The cancer pretty much just took over. And she ended up dying, I want to say 2 months after finding out that she had cancer. So she found out February 2023 and died April 2023.
And I know that had a impact you. When you talked about you dealt with depression and stuff. Um, Not to really force the issue, but how has that affected you now? Because it's been a few years. I mean, obviously, I know
Hmm.
you miss your mom. I'm sure.
Oh, of course.
It's your mother. It's the person that
Yeah.
gave birth to you. How
Hmm.
has that affected you mentally?
It affected me a lot mentally. In terms of just, uh, we didn't have the best relationship, but I knew that taking care of her was something that I knew I needed to do
Right.
because she took care of me,
Right.
and I put those feelings to the side because we didn't have the best relationship. Um, and I just knew I needed to take care of her. This was my mom. I owe you that much. You did
Right.
a lot for me. So it was nothing for me to just, step up and to take care of her even in um her last days. Um I'm still going through the grief.
I'm sure.
It does.
I know
Yeah.
holidays are not going to be easy.
Oh no. They're
Marsha
not.
lost her mom in 2008, and it still hurts her. So I can't say it's going to get easier because it's not.
I mean,
You know,
people deal with grief differently than
that
others.
is true. That is true.
Um I've accepted what happened, You make
That's a
choices
big
when
step
you're.
there.
Yeah. I've accepted what happened. I'm not happy what happened.
Right.
It's just that it taught me personally that I need to take care of myself. Um, you have to. You
Right.
have to take care of yourself. And the choices that you make when you are in your teens and 20s and 30s, if they're bad choices, sometimes they can catch up to you in your 40s and 50s and 60s. So with me now being just turning 40 uh, in August of this year, I had a lot of reflection and in, mental health and really taking care of myself, trying to make myself a priority instead of, waiting till the last minute to do those, doctor visits.
Right.
Just get yourself checked out. And if there is something wrong, what can you do to make things right or to be able to deal with whatever it is that's been told to you by your doctor. You know, finding out things early is key. And so um it just taught me a lot that life is precious.
It is very much
um
so.
you can't take things for granted, and to to pretty much take care of yourself. Take care of yourself, be gentle with yourself. um Miss her every day. It's hard, but it that first year took me out completely. um it's gotten a little bit easier for me to to deal with, but taking care of yourself to me is uh priority for
Right.
sure.
For sure. And it helps to have a good backing during all that too, because I know you know I keep saying Black Ice. I'm gonna call him David because that's who he is.
Hmm.
Having a person like David in my life is a huge blessing. So I can't imagine what it would be like for you because he's so charismatic. He's always one of those people that wants to help make any situation better. And I can't I can't emphasize having a great backing can help you get to great places. And I have a great backing, and I'm starting to see big time numbers. I'm starting to see a big push, and that's because
Hmm.
of the great backing. And but having a great person at home to help you, to
Yeah.
be there for you in your darkest times, and having a person like David is a huge blessing in my life. So I can't imagine what it's like in yours.
Oh, he's always been. I mean, he knew my mom for a long time, even before we dated, even before we got married. He's been in my mom's life for 16 years. So like he knew her. He
Yeah,
knew her,
yeah,
and so it was a big loss for him as well, seeing that, what she was, going through, and he was there the whole time, um, making sure that I was okay, making sure that my mom's boyfriend was okay, making sure that my older sister was okay, and just being that, support system, um, through all of it.
right. Yeah, and that's it's a huge, huge blessing. And it's just like you. You're amazing. I made the same comment in his podcast that having an amazing person in your life, such as you, is a great blessing, and I mean it. I genuinely mean that. Having you in my life is a great thing because I messaged you about things. We've talked,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Of course.
and there's we gamed, so there's a different kind of bond that me and you have.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I did technically. I messaged him before I messaged you about doing the podcast because I wanted his blessing just as a husband to husband kind of thing. Just kind of man I am. Not saying that he was like I don't care if she does it or not. Like I don't. You have to ask her.
He doesn't care.
Yeah, it's exactly what he's. And I know he wouldn't, but I still wanted his blessing for
Right.
my personal beliefs. Because
Yeah.
a man. I mean, granted, I did message you privately when I was sending him money.
Yeah.
But I wanted to let you know, like, hey, I'm gonna do something crazy, just to give you a heads up. Like,
Right.
that was a different set of circumstances, but because I wanted it to be a surprise for him, and it was, and
Right.
definitely, it means a lot that I have people like you in my life because I know that you deal with mental health issues. Even more so recently, you told me you were, in a hospital, and
Hmm.
I'm glad that you are in my life, and I hope you understand that. Like, I can't thank you enough for being in my life. You're an amazing person.
Oh, thank you.
Try not to cry right now.
Oh, don't do that. Don't do that. He can't do that on the podcast.
No, we can't. We can't.
No,
No, no. But I mean, it
yes,
is okay
no.
to cry. It's not that.
Of course it is.
It's
It
just
is.
that's
It
just
is.
how much you mean to me. Like, and I mean
Oh,
that. I
you mean a
genuinely
lot.
mean that.
You
You
mean
are
a
an
lot.
amazing person. I love playing with you. I love playing with David. You guys both are absolutely amazing. It's crazy because like usually with couples for me, there's always like
Hmm.
one person I favor. I don't
Hmm.
have that with you two. I don't. Like granted, I do
We
talk to David
compliment each
more.
other. Like, yeah,
I do talk to David more, so I guess in a sense I kind of favor him more.
yeah.
But that's just because
It's
I talk to him
understandable.
more. But as far
Right.
as like putting you together, if I had to pick one of y'all, I'm walking away. I'm not picking nobody. Like I'm just throwing that out there right now. If I had to pick between one of you two, like in any set of circumstances, I'm like, you know what? I'll play solo, so I don't care. I don't need this.
Oh my gosh.
But
Well, we'll have to make arrangements to come see you. I mean, we've met quite a few of David's followers. We
yeah,
have to make our way. I mean, make our way to Cali. I mean, I have family that's out there, so I
and they're
mean,
literally like 15 minutes away at max.
yep, yeah,
Because
yeah, I have cousins.
I live on the Fairfield side of my town.
Okay,
So like it's literally like the next exit from where I live. Like I get on the freeway, the first exit is Fairfield.
okay, yeah, and
So
then
that's
like
how
my
close Fairfield is to me.
my brother and his wife, they live in Alameda, so I think you had
That's not
mentioned
too
a couple.
far.
Yeah,
Alameda's
so
not that bad. I could probably
yeah,
get it.
so,
The problem is it's traffic because it's like Oakland traffic.
yeah, I knew,
But
yeah.
it won't be that bad. It'll be maybe an hour tops to get to Alameda.
Okay, cool.
So if you ever come out to Alameda, I could be there like in an hour.
Okay, well, I'll have to definitely talk to David about that because we
Yeah,
do want.
and me and Starquing actually made plans, or we're thinking about making plans to travel out there in probably 2026, like travel the East Coast, maybe
Okay,
2027 ish. We're not sure what year we want to do it, but she made a
okay.
comment about taking like a 2 week vacation and just flying out to the East Coast and meeting a lot of
Oh,
the people.
That would be
I
awesome.
want to meet Nurse Unicorn. I want to meet
Oh, she's
Lindsay.
a vibe. She's
Yeah.
a vibe. I've already met her. Yep.
Yeah, I love her. She's an amazing person. I should actually
She is.
message her. I haven't talked to
She
her in a while.
is who she is in person. What you get playing Fortnite, that's exactly what you get
Okay.
in person. I
Yeah.
had the time of my life with her. I stayed at her house for a week.
Oh, nice. So
Yeah.
she's
So
very, very
that's
homely. I like that. I also want
yes.
to meet KMF or Pork Chop. I don't. I keep calling him KMF. And
Oh yeah,
Stony
private porta
Loki.
pot.
They live like an hour away from each other.
That I didn't know. We do
Yeah.
have to visit. Yeah, we have to visit
And then of course,
Stony.
obviously, you guys. I would like to see Spades Gaming, who we saw on David's stream. He
Yes.
lives in New York. I have another
Right.
friend that lives in New York that is not a streamer. I would love to
Hmm.
go meet him. Or well, not meet, go see him. He used to live out here in California, and then he went to the military route and ended up in near Buffalo. I don't know the name of the town, but it's in New York.
Hmm.
And there's a
Yeah.
few people out there I would love to meet, and like Lindsay too. I know she lives kind of near where
Yep,
Nurse lives.
about 30 minutes. So I met her, I met Lindsay, I met Paige, and we had a time when I was out there.
I would love to meet Paige too.
Oh, she's awesome.
I love gaming with her. She has me rolling all the time.
All
Like,
the
and
time.
I
Yes.
try to watch what I say when I play with women, like in video
Hmm.
games, because I make everything dirty with guys.
Yes.
Like you hear how I talk to David and
Yes.
and
Well,
whatnot. I'm
my
that way
dad.
with
Yeah.
everybody, but then I'm
Yeah.
like I'm a little more partial when it comes to women because like I got to be careful because I don't want to say something and offend them. Because like there's just sometimes where it's like he's all over me. He's all, and I'm like, is that a bad thing? Like, is that what you
Is it
wanted?
a
Like, no,
bad
no,
thing he's
like,
all over
it's
me?
like, and I'll make the dirtiest
Maybe.
jokes, and then I'm just like, oh, I probably shouldn't have said that to her, and then I'm like, oh well, I said it.
It depends on the person, though.
See,
I love.
Stoney talked dirtier than I did,
Oh yeah, of
so
course.
Stoney
Well,
Loki,
it's
she
Stony.
was, yeah, she kept it real, so I was always comfortable around her, and I think
Oh
that
yeah, definitely.
what's
The
funny.
dirtier, the
This is
better.
this is a true story. This is so
Okay.
funny. You're gonna laugh at this. Darkwing was worried about my friendship with Stony because we got super close. But I was like,
Oh
that's because she's like one of the boys. You know,
yeah.
I could be me. Like I can talk stupid and say this stupid stuff I was saying to Kevin all the time, and she'll just come back with something else. So it was like I told Marsha, I said, you don't got to worry about her at all. She's like one of the boys. I love her in a
Exactly.
different way. She's like my little sister. That's all it is.
Yes.
She was a little worried about me and her friendship because we got close quick, but we were
Hmm.
gaming all the time,
Yeah.
you know. Okay,
But
so I want
she's
to
good people.
yes, I want to get to the end of the podcast because we kind of went over the time I told you, and that's
Oops.
kind of my fault.
That's
Um,
okay.
at the end of the podcast, I asked two questions, so I'm gonna ask the first question, and it started off with King Uno. He would actually usually ask this question when we did the podcast. He would always ask, "What is King Uno and what is Star King?" Well, obviously King Uno is not here. It's just me. I'm solo here, so I'm gonna ask the question: what is Star King Gaming to you? Like, what does he mean to you? In other words,
Star King Gaming. What does King Gaming mean to me? Well, definitely friendship. Friendship. Uh, positive energy, positive vibes. Um, yeah, that pretty much sums it up for me. I love the energy that you bring, especially when you had the games and stuff like that that you would have on Facebook, and then now doing this podcast. The energy and stuff that you bring has always been amazing, and I just wish that other people would um, take a lesson from that. Like a lot of people. I remember when you were streaming, and a lot of other people were streaming, that you had a lot of people that were in it for the money and the publicity.
right?
But for you, I just really feel like it was your love for people,
It
your
is.
love for people, and being able to connect with them in such a way where they felt welcome. They came to you with things, and that you loved your community. You gave back to your community, and I feel as though that with this podcast is going to go far, because you're doing the same thing with that. You're going back, you're giving back to your community. You still have that energy, that fire, that passion, and something that you love. And I don't want you to ever lose that. So that's what you mean to me.
And I appreciate that. And for the record, for those who are wondering, and I'm throwing this out there, I have yet to make a single penny since I brought back this podcast. I've been putting out money, but I don't
Hmm.
do it for monetary reasons. I do this to tell a story, and I know eventually there might come a time where I make money off of this. And hey, if I do, I do. If I don't, I make enough money at my job to where I can afford these luxuries. So I don't do it for money. So if you guys are listening to these podcasts and thinking, "Oh, he's making big time money," I am not. I have yet to make a single dollar yet, technically.
And you honestly inspired me because I know that you had mentioned my, my name Brown Sugar Foodie, which I'm trying to, launch revamp my page and stuff like that, where, it's not really about the money, but it's just your love and passion for what it is that you love to do.
Right.
And right. I love to cook. And so I am trying to create content.
God bless you for loving to cook because I hate cooking. I'm good
Hey.
at it. I'm not saying I'm not, but I hate cooking.
Hmm.
So I'm
Yeah,
glad that you love it because
it
I'm
was
the
something.
opposite.
It was something that I had to learn to love how to do because number one, I still love eating out, but with things getting expensive and stuff like that, and
Right.
having a family where
More mouths to feed. Right. It's not as cheap
yeah,
as
more
just you
mouths
and
to feed.
David, going out to dinner.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
totally get
even
it.
that's getting expensive,
Right.
So
Right.
um, teaching myself how to cook. My mom was a very good cook at that, and so just learning how to do that. Um, I absolutely love it,
I
and I
can't
want to
wait
be
to
able to
see
share
you
with
doing
people.
your thing. I really can't. I've been wanting to see you stream for I don't know how long it's been, but
Hmm.
I used to love. Well, I still love David's streams. I used to love your streams too. I used to love going in back when you were Shadow Lady Gaming and just going in there and just the vibes that you have is amazing. And I can't
Oh,
wait to
thank
see
you.
these cooking things. I actually need to make sure that I turn all notifications. I don't have my phone at the moment, but as soon as I get back in Star Queen's room, I will make sure that I turn all notifications on. So that way I get all your lives and whatnot. Because I know you have a TikTok, you still have Twitch, obviously. So
Yeah,
I know you guys are against Facebook, which I totally understand.
yeah.
If I could post like I do on Twitch, like I mean on Facebook, on Twitch, I
Hmm.
totally would. I would totally leave
Yeah,
Facebook alone entirely. But because I'm able to post and actually reach out to people more so on Facebook than I am on any other platform, I still have it for that only reason. I am never going to stream on Facebook again. I have
yeah.
zero intentions of streaming on Facebook again. If I stream, it's going to be either TikTok, Twitch, or even Kick. I think I'm just going to stick to Twitch because I had such great success there. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, I can't wait to see your videos and everything. I think it's going to be an amazing thing, and I'll actually learn some things too
Oh, thank
about
you. Yeah,
cooking.
I'm trying to. I'm actually transitioning from like streaming live. I mean, I might come back to it, but I kind of want to do like the short reels.
Yes,
And yeah,
do
David
those
said that he wants to be able to edit for me. So like I just need to do the recording because
right.
I wanted to do the editing myself because I always have this vision in mind of what I want to do, but it's
I would
becoming very
recommend you do it
overwhelming.
yourself. I would because
Yeah,
you have in your head a vision, right? Like
yeah.
you close your eyes, you see the painting. David can't
Hmm.
paint that for you. You know what I mean? And
Right.
I'm not saying he's not going to be good at it because I know he would be.
Hmm.
But when it comes to these things, like when I started doing the podcast, like I started thinking of like how I want it and how I'm
Right.
doing it. It's actually working better for me because I'm loving what I'm seeing on the YouTube side, and the reels do amazing on YouTube. Like I posted one with Section 8. Like the
Hmm.
first half hour, it had 20 views.
Oh,
And that was just like the first half hour. And I noticed that if you do it like every other day or every 3 or 4 days,
okay. Hmm.
it'll push even more. If you do it every
Okay.
day, it might push more. I haven't tried to post that because I don't have enough of the podcasting that I can do that yet. Like once I
Right.
get more podcasts going and I could like actually make a bunch of clips, I'll probably be doing a lot better. But obviously you're going to be actually Section 8 will be number 5. and then you'll be
Okay.
number 6. I haven't posted Section H yet because I'm doing it bi-weekly. I'm just trying to get
Mhm.
enough that way when the holidays get here, I can focus on work because I know it's going to be hell because it's always stressful, holidays. So that's
Yes.
why I'm preparing myself. So to touch on what you said, as far as what you know I mean to you, I'm going to tell you what you mean to me. And I said this before. You're an absolutely amazing person. You're somebody I love dearly. You guys, both of you guys, mean the world to me. I look at David as a brother. That means you're by marriage. You're my sister. And I look at you that way. I really do look at you as a sister. Whenever I see you, I always try to make some kind of joke because I know you're gonna get a laugh. If I hear you playing with David, I'm gonna say something dirty just because I know it's gonna
Oh,
make
of
you
course.
laugh. And I love your laugh. I absolutely love hearing your laugh, especially when I tell something stupid or corny. I love it.
Yes.
So now the last question. I took something from a fellow podcaster. His name is Chris Van Fleet, and he talks about gratitude being a big part of his life. Every morning and every night when he goes to bed, and when he wakes up and goes to bed, he says out loud 3 things he's grateful for. I started doing this exercise about 6 months ago, and I tell you, I wake up every day in a better mood. I go to bed in a better mood. Now, granted,
Hmm.
the 3 things they could always be different. They could always be the same. But as we're here right now, what are 3 things that you are grateful for?
I'm grateful for my my marriage. I'm grateful for my family, and most of all, I am grateful with my relationship with God.
That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. I love hearing everybody has different things. I mean, for the most part, usually family, friends tend to be in the same thing. I know it's hard to pick just 3, but husbands, marriage, as you said, I love it because it's like a lot of people pick the same thing, but the third one is always different. I feel like I love it. It's amazing. Well, Miss Brown Sugar Foodie, not
Yes,
not Shadow Lady, even though in my heart you're always gonna be Shadow Lady.
of course. Nothing wrong with
I
that.
100% appreciate this. This was an amazing. Again, as I said in the beginning, this is the first time I actually interviewed a female solo. So this has actually been a first time. So this is huge. This is monumental for me, and
Ooh,
I can't
I
wait to
feel
get more.
special.
Stony Loki has agreed to do one, so she's going to be the second one. And
Okay.
like I said, excluding Star Queen because she's been in a few podcasts. Excluding her, I'm not counting her only because I kind of forced her into doing a couple of them. So they don't really count because it wasn't her will. I asked if she would do it. She didn't really want to, and I was like, "Well, it's a way for us to get time together," and then she agreed to do it.
Mhm.
But this was actually a monumental moment for the Star King Gaming Presents podcast. This has been Star King Gaming with Brown Sugar Foodie, aka Shadow Lady Gaming. All right, you guys go give her a follow on TikTok, Twitch, all that because once she starts getting big time, she's gonna forget about me, so I won't be able
Oh no, never that.
to.
Never that. Well,
I,
there'll be many more podcasts.
yes, and there is actually gonna be more. I was actually kind of thinking about talking to you and Mr. Black Ice X and having you two together in
Ooh,
a
okay.
podcast doing like a kind of a unique thing. I actually was thinking about that today. It'd be awesome to actually have both of you guys because I left a lot out for a reason. I left some meat on the bone because I want to be able to do a part 2 when you're back to doing your podcasting. I mean, not your podcast, your videos and everything. When you're actually officially back to doing that, I know that maybe even streaming, possibly. Maybe
Hmm.
I said maybe there for record. Also, again, I would like to do another Black Ice X part 2, but I also want to do one with both of you. I think that'd
Uh
be
huh.
awesome. I think that'd be an amazing time because I love
Oh,
spending time with both of you. So we'll have to set something up. I'll have to figure out a time for that because I want to do the part 2 once you're starting to get back into it. That way we could promote you even more.
okay.
But yeah,
Sounds
I'll
good.
talk to you guys soon about that because I have an idea and I think it'd be an amazing opportunity for all of us. But
Okay.
thank you so much, Miss Brown Sugar Foodie, aka Shadow Lady Gaming. You guys, make sure you guys give her a follow, please. And we will be back with another podcast. Thank you so much.
And wow, that was an amazing podcast. On this week's episode, this podcast, I'm going to end it with a different story. Every podcast is going to have a new ending. It's called Story Time with Star King, and I want to make it short. Try to make the story as short as possible. Uh, I decided why not cover why I got into content creating. It all started back in the day when I first started doing watching streams, I guess you could say. First one I really got into was a guy named Riot Stream. He was a major streamer on Facebook, and then he went to YouTube, and he's now on YouTube. I was a supporter of his for years on Facebook. So was Starkwing, and it started off with just us watching his stream. He was PG, very family friendly, but very entertaining at the same time. And then I started to watch another guy, Dreaded, came along my feed. Dreaded was doing Madden at the time. I think this particular stream was either Madden or 2K. I can't remember. And I went to the stream. I liked it, shared it like I always did. Started talking with him, and I got familiar with him, and then of course followed. And randomly, I came across this guy named Bacon Gaming. And who doesn't love bacon? And I fell in love with his passion. The particular game, he was playing as the Green Bay Packers, and I remember this very well. And the team he was facing was Minnesota. It was a 4th and 6 situation, I want to say. And he threw a beautiful pass, but it was just a yard short, and it ended the game. He was so upset. He lost the game. There's a chance that he could have won the game. He was out of timeouts, whatever have you, and he only had 40 seconds anyway in the game. It just came up short. It was amazing. I started watching him, I should say, and got real close to him. Friendly, even, literally friends. I'll never forget it. The first stream I was in was that stream. I became a follower because I love the passion. I sent 5,000 stars, which was the equivalent to $50, and became a supporter. And I'll never forget it because he tells his wife, I believe, I think they were married at that time. I don't know for sure, but he goes, "Hey babe, come here. Look at this guy, this James Moore guy. He just liked my streams, just followed today. And look, he sent 5,000 stars, which is $50, and then he became a supporter." I was a supporter of Bacon's for a lot of years, and just kind of grew apart from each other, I guess, because now he's a family man. He still streams on Kick. I'm rarely on Kick. Anyway, I was in a stream and I kept sending stars, and not just 10, 20 stars. We're talking hundreds of stars, thousands of stars. And this guy in his stream named David Wilson was in there and said, "Oh man, you are not a star sender, man. You're a star king." And it stuck. I like the name Star King. I was like, yeah, that's me. But I said, and I made a joke to Bacon. I said, "Man, I should become a streamer, man. Star King Gaming, bro. I'm set." And Bacon was pushing me to be a streamer at that time. He kept telling me, "Dude, you should do it. You're a lot of fun to play with. I enjoy gaming with you. You're a huge blessing in my life. I love you. You're a good person. Do it. You'll be surprised." So I said to myself, "Okay, you know what? Let's do it." So I got a tablet and was streaming from my tablet. For the longest time, I actually streamed from a tablet playing retro games. And then I started streaming from my phone playing Fortnite because at the time, Fortnite Mobile was a thing and you could stream from your phone. I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. But then decided I wanted to upgrade, and I actually won a giveaway for Bacon for an Elgato capture card, which I still have to this day. Still use it to this day. And Star King Gaming went off, and we were doing really well. Started doing a podcast, started doing other things, and here we are, still almost 6 years now, and I love it. We'll be live for Christmas Day. This podcast will be posted on the 21st of December. So the 25th, I will be live. So make sure you're on listen for that. And the next podcast, I'm not sure who's going to be on there. I got a lot of people I can get in. D2M is wanting to do one. I got Elite Player, Star Queen. So just
Be on the lookout for the notification. Alrighty, guys. I love you. I'll talk to y'all later.